Hi everyone, my name is Natalia Blauvelt. I am an immigration attorney in Chicago, Illinois, and I would like to tell you a little bit more about options for Ukrainian nationals and their family members who came here on humanitarian parole called Uniting for Ukraine program. This program was introduced in April of 2022 and it allowed certain Ukrainian nationals to come to the United States for a period of 2 years. It's a temporary program and we haven't heard about an extension period for this program. So I would like to talk about options for people who are here in the US already on this humanitarian parole program. The first thing I wanted to cover is changing status. So if you came to the US on humanitarian parole under the Uniting for Ukraine program, changing status unfortunately is not available within the United States. However, applying for a non-immigrant visa and going through the consular processing is still an option. That would require a person to travel outside of the United States once the person has an approved petition, and then go through the consular processing, obtain a non-immigrant visa, and return to the United States. Unfortunately, such a person will not be able to keep Uniting for Ukraine humanitarian parole. So once the person exits the United States, goes through the consular processing, obtains a non-immigrant visa, comes back to the United States, the person will come as a non-immigrant, not as a parolee. Another option is employment-sponsored immigration. So that's basically applying for a green card through an employer. So when an employer files an I-140 petition, then gets the petition approved, a person may normally file for either an immigrant visa or adjustment of status. That's in general terms. If a person is here on the humanitarian parole under Uniting for Ukraine program, we recommend doing consular processing. Unfortunately, the law is not very clear in terms of adjusting status in the United States. We would not recommend anyone doing adjustment of status in the United States for the employment-sponsored immigration. So if your employer wants to sponsor you for a green card, the option is still here. Once the I-140 petition is approved, you will need to travel outside of the United States and go through the consular processing, apply for basically an immigrant visa. Once an immigrant visa is issued, a person will be able to return to the United States as an immigrant and receive a green card. Next, I would like to talk about family-based immigration. So before we talk about it, I'd like to make sure that we understand that there are immediate relatives and there are preference category relatives. So when we talk about immediate relatives, then there is no limit to the number of visas issued annually. When we talk about preference categories, we need to keep in mind that there is a certain limit on the number of visas issued each year. So what it means, I'll give you an example. So if you are a Ukrainian national who is here on a humanitarian parole under Uniting for Ukraine program, you may qualify if you have a US citizen spouse, or if you have a US citizen parent in the US and you are under 21 and you are not married, or you have a US citizen child who is over 21 years old. Those people in US citizens can file a petition for you in the United States. You can also file certain applications along with that petition within the United States. This process will be called adjustment of status. It happens within the United States. So please talk to your immigration attorney if you feel like this is an option that can be available to you. If you have a close relative in the United States who is not an immediate relative, this person may be a family preference relative. So when we talk about family preference immigrant visas, we need to keep in mind that those are issued in limited numbers each year. So which means that the processing times are way longer. It may take years to wait for the visas, for the numbers to become current. I would like to talk specifically about Ukrainian spouses and children of lawful permanent residents. If you are a Ukrainian national here on your humanitarian parole here in the US, your parole is valid and you have a lawful permanent resident spouse, for example, or a lawful permanent resident parent, then that person can file a petition for you and the visa numbers are current as of now. So adjustment of status is possible for that specific category. This category is F2A category. So that if that's the case, then adjustment of status in the United States is possible and the visa numbers are available. If we are talking about consular processing, then the visa numbers are not current. Just keep that in mind. I know this may sound confusing, therefore definitely talk to your immigration attorney about the options. Another option that may be available to some of the parolees is asylum. Before applying for asylum, please keep in mind that it may take several years before an asylum application is adjudicated. It may take 3, 4, 7 years in the US. Also, fleeing war or fleeing violence by itself is not a basis for asylum. To apply for asylum, you will need to prove that you suffered past persecution or have a well-founded fear of future persecution on the account of race, religion, nationality, political opinion, religious affiliation, or particular social group. And just keep in mind that this process may be lengthy. Additionally, this is not a straightforward process, so please consult with your immigration attorney before you choose to apply for asylum to see if you may be eligible for this immigration benefit. Once people are granted asylum, they may apply for a green card after 1 year of residing in the United States. Once people become permanent residents, there may be an option for them to file for naturalization if they qualify. If you're here in the US on the humanitarian parole and you participated in the Diversity Visa 2024 lottery, you may know that the results are out, so please double check on them and see if you are selected. If you are selected for this Diversity Visa 2024 process, you may be eligible to apply for an immigrant visa. So please talk to your immigration attorney about that option. Maybe you will be able to apply for an adjustment of status in the United States. So that's another option that may be available to some of those who are here in the US on humanitarian parole under Uniting for Ukraine. Good luck, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Hi everyone, my name is Natalia